Welcome to our GEBC Conscious Book Club discussion. As you well know, we are discussing Keys to Unlocking Your Inner Power by Kelly Larsen. And today we're going to talk about the power of thought and the power of words. And joining me in this discussion today is Shelley Ingram Roby as well as Florence Wright. And so we're going to get started here. I should have said Shelley Roby Ingram. That's better, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. But we're going to keep going. I'm not going to retake that. And so I thought this was a very, these two chapters are very profound in teaching us the importance of the creative process with thought, how we think. There's a scripture in the Bible says, as a man thinks, so is he. And so, and we're going to look at that in the power of words. In getting this started, you two, I just wanted to kind of remember or kind of do to memorize the definition of enlightenment. And enlightenment is the gradual, slow, progressive process of awakening to you that exists in many dimensions and in many forms of existence. And so, and I think that the key is to awaken to all the many levels of yourself and the many dimensions that you exist in, and becoming cognizant or aware of that to the point whereby it causes a transformation not only in your consciousness but also in your form. And to do that, these two chapters actually teach us how to achieve that. The power of thought, the power of emotion, the power of sound, the power of words. And I was just really, just for me, I was just really just blown away at the detail and the actual steps and the awareness that one can do to increase their awareness and the things we need to be paying attention to, and as it relates to the thoughts we think, the words we say, the prayers we render, the sounds we make, and everything. So let's get started with that, and let's kind of just move into it. And what did, when you think about thought, when you think about the power of thought, as you read this chapter, Shelley, Florence, what intrigued you about that? That was so dynamic, so amazing, about the power of your thought.
Well, what I have highlighted, and then I say, how I felt about it personally. But she says every thought you have moves energy. So it kind of makes me look at myself and say, although I don't speak it out loud, even if I think it, especially if it's negative, it's not good. If I want to move forward or move past something, even if I'm thinking it, it's not good.
Okay. All right. Sure.
I know it seems like in my head, like I say every time we tape one of these, that this is my favorite chapter.
Yeah.
It seems like
yeah.
It is every time we say it, but I think that the reason that these two chapters are really my favorites right now is because they are something that I'm actively working on, and like Kelly said in this chapter, in chapter 8 about the power of thought, is something that I've been working on for a couple of years, of trying to rein in my thoughts and my emotions and get control and be aware of those types of things and the power behind that. And then when it came to, like the power of prayer, I have so much personal experience with that part when we get to that part, that I've seen. And so for me, I think that it's something that surprisingly so many people are not aware of how important their thoughts are. Or they think that the only thoughts that matter or if they're thinking about something big. But it's the small repetitive things
Right.
that, you know, you say when you you know, you mess up or something and make a flub, and you say, oh, I'm so stupid, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And you do that enough, and
Yeah.
it hurts you, and you don't realize that.
When you hear the phrase, as a man thinks, so is he, how does that, what does that mean to you? Either one of you. As a man thinks. Okay, sure.
When I think of it, you know, I know probably before I started, like I said, studying in this vein, then, you know, I just heard you say it sometimes. But now I think of it two ways. As a man thinketh, so is he affects you physically. And as a man thinketh, so is he. I am that. I am.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. The power of thought, I like the way Kelly put it. She said the power of thought is that it is a creative power. As a man thinks, so is he. Thought is a creative power. It creates at the mental level. And if that thought is continuously fed energy, it creates at the physical level. So in other words, this is what we call the creation of a thought form. In the movie The Secret, which is the law of attraction, is defined as three words, in three words in a sentence. Thoughts become things. Thought becomes things. So before something is a physical thing that you can see and touch, it exists in the astral and in the mental plane of existence. Now when you think about that, you think about disease. Disease. And before a disease becomes a physical reality, it is a dis-ease. How powerful is that? Just on the level of just talking about disease, and then think about how powerful is that when you think about on something that is positive or something that is creatively productive. Thoughts become things. Before it's physical, it's mental.
You know, I guess the first thing that comes to mind was when we did our study here at the church on the book You Can Heal Your Life.
Okay.
And
Louise Hay.
Mm-hmm. And we you know, started to see the thoughts and the thought patterns that kind of went along with diseases and the things like that. But I know, you know, I've had, like I said, a lot of personal experiences with these. You know, specifically when my son had heart surgery, we had to go to Michigan. There were 10 other patients at the hospital at that time who had the same condition and surgery that he was having. And, you know, we ended up leaving the hospital, and you know, every time we went, we always ended up leaving sooner than they expected us to. Even though we were there for a long time, we left sooner than the other patients who had gone through the exact same regimen.
Right.
And our nurse told me that part of the reason that she thinks that he recovered so much more quickly is the way I treated him when we were in the room. That, you know, we didn't act like he was sick, you know, even though he had heart surgery. You know, we kept the blinds open, you know. I didn't want anybody coming in there talking negative, saying negative things. I didn't, you know, I tried to keep my negative thoughts outside of the room, you know. And I saw the difference while I was there of how our day would go and how it would progress for him when I would let myself get down and depressed,
Right.
as opposed to when I was like, okay, come on, let's fight, let's go. You know.
Yeah.
And so, you know, speaking personally with that, with illness, I know that there's a difference. You know, even when you have a cold or something like that, you know, that's what we do at our house. Is I don't let the kids say they're sick, or, you know, lay
you don't
around.
have to confess that or get sidetracked by a low vibratory thought.
Right.
Thoughts have frequencies, and frequencies carry energy and power. And so the higher the thought, the more power the thought has to move things. In what way do you think, I don't know if this may or may not be covered in the book, but in what ways do you think that it is how a person can be able to manage their thoughts? Because there are billions and billions of thoughts that are just in the universe that can drop into your mind at any point in time. How does one manage their thoughts whereby they can become thoughts that can work for them versus working against them, you think?
Well, dealing with some things I have gone through in life with the illness, when the doctor tell you that you have this or that going on, if you accept it, if you're constantly thinking about it, then the worse you will feel. After I started learning more from you, from Shelley and several other people, after I started learning more, becoming more positive, I stopped thinking, woe is me, I'm so sick, I gotta take all this medicine, I have to do this, and I'm constantly thinking, I'm sick. So I said, okay, I don't want to feel sick. I don't want to be sick. I started thinking, I am healed, I am this, I am that. So the better I was thinking that I would be, the better I am.
Yeah, I think you hit a good point there, because you know, there are thoughts that come in and out your mind. They kind of like go with the clouds in a day. A thought can hit your mind and it can pass or whatever and go on by its business. It is not just simply having a thought. It is having a constant, repetitive thought, a focused thought. And particularly when that thought is backed by the power of intention. Because it says energy flows where attention goes. And when you put intentionality behind a thought and you focus on that, it you know like lights in this room are like scattered, diffracted. They just it's out there. Well, a laser is focused, and it can do you know, great things and more powerful things because of this focus. And I think that's one of the good things that I read in the book is about focused thought.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that she mentioned about this is when thought is connected with emotion, it's amplified.
Right. Yeah. And when you think about that, I think probably most of the time now, since we've started to learn about amplifying your thoughts, we're thinking about it as amplifying it, you know, in a positive way with love and you know, thinking about your prayers in a positive way. But when you think about the fact that, like we were talking about with, you know, the example of illness, if you're already starting to feel sick and then you lie around and somebody calls you and says, oh girl, you sound horrible, and then you say, then that makes you go down a little bit more, and then you say, girl, I feel like a dead dog, and then it makes it worse, and then you start feeling sad. They say, well, I'm getting ready to go somewhere, and you know, I wish you could go. Then you sad about that, and that makes it worse, and it all builds, you know, and so it makes you really, it's just so important to become aware of, you know, how you're feeling when you're thinking, you know.
What responsibility, because people don't live in a vacuum. They don't live alone. We live in groups.
Yeah.
Families, communities, you know, jobs, that kind of thing. what responsibility do you think that you have to another person when they are feeling low or feeling guilty, sad, shame, overwhelmed, or whatever the case may be? Do you feel that you have a responsibility to be concerned about the overall emotional atmosphere in which your house exists, in which your community exists? Do you feel like you have responsibility to the people to make sure that the emotions are sustainable or in a positive sense?
Yeah, I like to either ask that person if they want to pray, or I just say some positive things. I try not to change the conversation because I don't want them to think that I'm not interested. But I try to say something positive, or I try to, let them see that there's going to be a change, or something positive is going to come out of it. It has to be.
Yeah, I asked that question. You had something on that thing?
Yeah, I think I take it like in 2 stages. Because one of the things you talk about all the time is people not acknowledging the wealth and benefit that they have when they go through certain emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on who it is, what the situation is, I'm not gonna try to tell somebody who's a family member just died, or they just found out something really bad, don't worry about it, it's gonna be okay,
Right, that's
not anything, right, yeah, not anything like that. But I have friends, for instance, who or people that I know sometimes, who will say things, and they're just constantly complaining about the things that go on through their day. And I'm one of those people that try to tell people, the bright side of it. If it's something like that, oh, well, yeah, I got to do this and I got to do that, and nobody's helping me and all this kind of stuff, and I try to tell them, well, it's going to make you better at whatever it is you're doing. I'll try to tell them that. And if they keep on saying, well, yeah, but I leave it alone.
Okay.
Because I think that if you continue to let somebody, if they want to be in that, in that mind frame, in that emotion, if you continue to try to pull them out of it, then it's pulling energy from you, that I don't want to share.
Okay. One of the things that I think is important that she mentions about the relationship between thought, sound, and thought, emotion, and then sound. And she and we talking about how thoughts become things. And there are a couple of scientists like Hans Jenny, and then also Dr. Maruso Emoto, I think that's his name, who ran some experiments to show how sound and words and thoughts affect plants. See, we can say this, and people can say, well, yeah, okay, that's you psyching yourself out, everything. But one of the most profound things to watch is to watch how thoughts and words, for that matter, affect plants. And one of the experiments that I have done, and I'll encourage other people to do, is to replicate Dr. Emoto's experiment. So what he did is that he had like 3 plants, or you can have like if not plants, you can have like a bowl of rice or whatever, and on one glass or bowl of rice you can write on there, "You're ugly," or "I hate you." On the other one you can say thankfulness or love or joy. On the third one, don't put anything on it. And what they want to do is measure the breakdown or decay rate of each one of those bowls or glasses of rice over a period of time. And what is amazing is that, well, let me ask you all, which one of those 3 bowls, the bowl that had "I hate you," the bowl that had "I love you," or the bowl that had nothing on it, which one do you think over a period of 30 days decayed the fastest, showed, breakdown or decay the quickest.
The one with the negative word. I hate you.
Actually, it's the one that had nothing on it.
You didn't show it any attention at all.
Didn't give it any attention. And that's true even for children.
And
Yes.
that's the one of the things Kelly talked about in the book about the, percentage of water in the body. And so, when you think about the fact that, as in Dr. Emoto's work, she talked about, the effect that the words had on water crystals.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you think about that and the fact that your body and your organs are comprised of so much water.
Your body, your organs of your body, your brain, your heart, your spleen, your liver, your intestines, your lungs, are bathing in an ocean of thought in water. In other words, water has consciousness. That's the whole point. Water has consciousness. Water holds memory. You might not remember this, but back in I know y'all wouldn't remember this, but back in 96, Dr. Jewel Pookrum came here to the church and she spoke. And she told us that water carries memories. Now, if as Dr. Moto's experiment in his video called Messages in Water, as you quoted, shows, if words can affect water and cause it to become chaotic, like I hate you, you're ugly, and if it can form crystalline shapes at the microscopic level when it encounters an intention that says I love you, thank you. Now, if words can do that to water, and you are bathed in an ocean of water, your brain sits in a vat of water, 85% of your body fluids is in your brain. If your heart sits in water, your lungs, your liver, your bones, if you're sitting in an ocean of water, and if it can do that to water, imagine what it does to you. Your thoughts magnetize in the water of your body. Imagine what your organs are sitting in.
Right.
They're sitting in, if you are full of hate and full of bitterness and doubt and anger and guilt and shame, how can you possibly get well when the very energy of that thought is bathing your organs? I think what that says is that we have to truly be aware of the emotional atmosphere that we live in.
Right. And that goes into the part where Kelly talks about the fact that, well, first of all, that your creative ability, based on the things that you can create with your thoughts and your emotions and sounds and prayers and words, writing, all that kind of thing, increases as you connect with higher aspects of yourself. But that becomes more important as you move up and,
But see, here's the point.
increase.
You don't move up alone.
Well, that's
Your
what,
cre-
that's
that's
what I
right.
was getting ready to say.
That's right. Your creativity exists in a community. Now, though you can be creative in a negative environment, but think how much power it takes. Imagine if you're in an environment that encourages creativity, that encourages imagination, that encourages impossibilities in terms of to make the impossible possible. Imagine what that does. How then, we don't even realize what our potential could be, because many times people are living in communities of disbelief. They don't believe. Yeah. Let's talk about dealing with negativity, because I think truth of the matter is that we do live in an environment of much negativity.
Yes.
Of much negativity. People who believe in the probability of war, people who believe in disease, all that kind of stuff. So how should we deal with our own individual negativity, negative thoughts, environmental negative thoughts? How should we deal with that? She gave some clues on how we should focus on that. And you remember any of that?
She said focus on what you gain from a process and what changes will occur because of what you've learned. So
Okay.
whenever you're going through a negative situation, then the thing is to come to the point where you become aware of what's going on while you're in it. That's
Okay.
the first thing, that you have to be aware of what's going on and not just let things happen to you. And then while you're in that situation, then focus on, okay, what is it that I'm learning, or what is this moving me
Okay.
more towards, and that changes that situation from a negative situation to a positive situation where, it's a learning experience.
Yeah. One of the things that I read in that particular about dealing with negativity, she mentioned about the fact that to try to fight negativity by focus on stop being negative does not, it actually increase negativity. In other words, you can't use the fight against negativity to overcome negativity. The more you say stop being negative, the more negative you create, because you're using a negative to fight a negative. In the movie The Secret, that was talked about a lot. The idea that Mother Teresa said, if you got a problem with war, don't invite me to an anti-war demonstration. Invite me to a pro-peace. In other words, the more we talk about health, the more we focus on wellness, life, the more we don't give energy to disease, death, destruction. The more we talk about the more the conversation is peace, the less the conversation is war. And I think that one of the things that we do, we always talk about what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong, why it's wrong, whose fault is it that is wrong, and we don't deal with the idea of what's good, what's great, what possibility. Now, that's not a denial that things are not the way we would like them to be, but it is to understand the contrast. The only thing it does to understand that I don't feel good, the pain of I don't feel good, it gives you have now the reference point to focus in on, I want to feel better.
All right. And that's one of the things she talked about in here also, is that sometimes these situations will arise to show you the power that you have over that type of situation. If something keeps coming up and you keep finding yourself in a situation where, like for instance, if you keep getting sick and you know how to make yourself well, then that's giving you an opportunity and trying to force you to go ahead and do what it is that you need to do to make yourself well.
Right. There's a scripture in the Bible that says, that death and life are in the power of the tongue. In Matthew chapter 4, Jesus says, man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. We have the ability to speak our thoughts and to bring them into reality. It's one thing to think it. It becomes another thing to say it. To say it. Okay? So if we look at the chain of events of how we bring creation into existence, we think it, we feel it, we really feel it, and I think that's important that you feel it, you can imagine it, you can see it in your eye, and then you start speaking it. You start speaking it. Dr. Tyson came here one day and she said that whatever you put behind the word I am, you become. You remember that? So now we're talking about the power of words. The power of words. And words or sound, words are sound. And it says, like in the Bible again, and in other scriptures, in some of the ancient Egyptian scriptures, it talks about the idea that the world came into existence when God not only thought it, but God spoke it. And so in the Bible it says, in the beginning was the Word. It was this sound, this primordial sound that carried all the information and all the energy that everything that we see, touch, taste, smell, is the result of a primordial sound. In the Hindu world, that primordial sound was Om. Om, where we get the word Amen. Okay, that's the primordial sound that gave birth to creation. Scientists call it the Big Bang, the big sound. And everything began to come into being. And that is in other words, what do you think when you hear all this and realize that your words have the power to create your reality and the reality of other people who listen to your words?
Yeah.
It's hard to believe until when you start looking at things that happen, then I think it becomes, you'll become more aware of it.
Why is that so hard to, as you say, to conceive or to take?
Well, okay, let me not say that it's hard for everybody. Let's say growing up in the South Bible Belt, let's say growing up the way we have here, over here, that is hard to believe, because I think, first of all, so many people give this external God the power of everything that's going on in their lives.
Okay.
He created it. He's sitting on his cloud. He created us and everything that's going to happen to us all the way down the line, and we have no control over it.
Okay.
And that our prayers and our hopes are, I guess, to get him to change his mind about what he had planned for us, or because I've heard so many times, I guess the reason that I say that is I've heard so many times people say when something bad happened to them or whatever, they lost their job, the first thing, well, they'll say that's the devil, or the first thing they'll say is, and we talked about this at church today, and it's sometimes a good thing, God, why are you doing this to me?
Why me?
Why did this happen to me? And okay, now I'm not praying enough. Let me go to church. Let me go and start praying more, so that God will change this in my life. But what they don't realize is, okay, now you're focusing your energy on something different.
Okay.
Okay. And it's a reactionary prayer that they're doing.
What is it about saying it and not just thinking it that adds a boost to whatever thought you had?
Saying it out loud, like you putting it out into the universe.
Okay.
I think that make it more powerful than just thinking it. Because really she said in here that if you're just thinking it, the most of what you're thinking are negative thoughts anyway. So it's best that you say it out loud if you're thinking of something positive. Because while you're trying to think of something positive, that negative thought will come to your mind.
Let's look at it like this. If you want, okay, you guys, you're married, you're single, Shelley, and stuff like that, but let's assume that you all are in a good relationship. Hopefully you are, Florence. And
of course.
And so, and let's say that whoever you with, the man you with, tells you, he never says to you, I love you. But, and you'll say to him, you never tell me you love me. He said, well, I think it.
Yeah.
That's not sufficient, is it?
No, not at all.
You something about hearing it. Maybe it is sufficient. I mean, because sometimes a
It's
person
not
can.
enough
Now, here's the point: if the person says it,
Yeah.
but doesn't really believe it,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Or
you know,
show
even that. Well,
Okay. No, that's fine. There you go. That
saying,
was my only thing.
my only point is to say that. Go ahead.
Talk is cheap.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
But speech is also powerful.
Yeah. But okay, we're not gonna get into that. But my thing, the reason
Alone,
that I
you mean
said
talk is cheap alone.
right,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
reasoning behind that saying that is, you know, we tell people, you know, fake it till you make it and all that kind of stuff. But in that particular example that you gave,
Right.
if you don't truly love someone, just because if you're saying I love you, and you're constantly doing things that hurt that person, that is not love to me, you know.
Okay. Or let's say that it's obviously you got a chain thing on here. Think it, say it, do it.
Absolutely.
So we're just talking about right now the saying part. It is important to put your thought into the universe, like Florence said, to put your thought into the universe.
But you have to. I think. Yeah, you have
But
to.
see, I think that.
But if you don't
money.
actually think it, well, that's either way. Money, love, either way.
Right.
This is my thing about it, and we've talked about this before.
Mm-hmm.
If you're saying, I wanna get a new job and move to such and such. You know, I'm getting a new job and I'm gonna move and I'm gonna get a brand new house when I move and everything gonna be grand. It's just gonna be great.
Mm-hmm.
But inside your head, that's not the thought process that's going on. Inside your head, you're thinking, I can't do this. If I do this, then what's gonna happen? What if I go over there and I can't find a job? Or
do words have power?
Yes.
I think they do, but
or energy, right?
I mean, well, yeah, they have an energy, but you still have to have that internal that is giving it something.
So
you can't
you need to say what you mean.
Right, you can't just say, just walk around saying, because I say it all the time. Well, no, that's not a good, that's not a good, no, that's not a good example. I was going to say, I walk around all the time saying that I'm going to win $121 million in the Powerball, but I think it too.
But you know what?
And I know it's coming.
Let's talk about right speech.
And I'm waiting on it.
Let's talk about right speech.
Okay.
Because listen to what you just said. You said, I walk around saying, I'm what? I'm going to win what?
$121 million.
I'm going to win $120 million.
121.
And I would say, according to your faith, so be it. In other words, you said, I'm going to win. The law of attraction says, whatever you put out comes back. Thoughts become things. Words manifest themselves. Words come back to you. Words don't return void. So, what you said in the structure of your sentence, I am going to win, or I want to win. Not you say I'm going to. You said I want to win.
Going.
Oh, you going to? Okay.
I said going.
Okay. Well, some people speak in the future tense, and they don't speak it in the present tense. And to agree with you, they really don't believe it. But you really do need to say it and say it over and over again, because that's the power of mantra.
Right.
Yeah.
And consistent prayer.
Right.
That eventually your brain or your mind catches up with your words.
Right.
Because ultimately the higher mind is the one that does the work.
Right. But you have to, that's my only thing, that you can't just rely on one of them. You got to add. There has to be. It has to be,
yeah.
A unified, you know.
Yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing because I think that's a good point, Shelly, because, people many times, they don't understand the link in the chain, and so they just want. It can't happen that way. Depends on who you, how, what part of your mind you're working with. you know, you got to think it, you need to say it, and you need to take actions that correspond
Right.
to the words and the thoughts
Yes.
that you say.
Yeah, right.
Faith has that's what I said. Faith has corresponding actions.
Mm-hmm.
So if you say, I believe that I'll never be broke another day in my life, then if you say that and you truly believe that and do not doubt in your heart, then faith without works is dead. Therefore, you should have actions that correspond to that faith and those words you just spoke. Otherwise,
Right.
it's just rhetoric.
And I think that's where people have a problem a lot of times, because even if they think I'm gonna get this job, then they don't want to tell anybody because they don't want to jinx it, or they say I don't
Right.
want to jinx it, so I'm not gonna say I don't know where to get it. I'm not gonna say anything about it, or they don't want to tell anybody because they think
Why you
somebody
think they don't
might
wanna do
get
that?
jealous,
They get jealous?
or they think somebody might try to undermine them. You
Hate
start
on 'em.
having all these negative thoughts that go
Yeah,
under it,
that's true.
and then that keeps you from speaking it out loud, and then you don't even know to say it to yourself.
Yeah.
You don't even that doesn't even come to you, and so then you're not necessarily acting on getting the job. You're saying I'm gonna let my work speak for itself, and you're not stepping up doing anything because again you don't want to draw attention to yourself.
Well,
but
I think
the
on the other
person
side,
that does get
I think
it,
sometimes when you have like a baby dream, a beginning dream,
right? You don't tell everybody.
I think it's important that you have to not put your dream on Front Street, because when it's young like that, obviously the naysayer is going to attack it,
Yeah.
going to try to kill it. However, I think the problem of what you're speaking about is more so when people are afraid to say what they truly believe and what they truly are about. Sometimes it's a sign of uncertainty.
Right.
Whether or not they truly believe whether or not it's going to work, and therefore they want to be safe and not look bad and say, well, at least I didn't say it, I mean, it's kind of like if you have somebody you love and you like them, but you're scared to tell them that you love them or like them, and you basically, I'm not going to say nothing. I hope they figure it out, because you are afraid of rejection.
Right. And then
Sometimes you got to step out there,
yeah.
step up to your power.
And I think also along with that, going back to the part when we were talking about being in a relationship, that some people use words, to hide the fact that they don't have a thought or an emotion.
Yeah.
Use
telling
words to control you.
right, telling you, I love you, so you can stay right there.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
said with control,
Oh, yeah.
saying I love you, or you're doing a great job, because I don't want to pay anybody the amount of money that I should be paying
Right.
them, so I'm gonna tell you you're doing a great job, even though I really don't think it.
Yeah.
Instead of being honest with you, I'm gonna be deceptive so that I can get what I want out of the situation.
Let's shift
But-
a little bit here.
Yeah.
Can I say this real quick?
Mhm.
When it comes to small dreams, and if you're telling somebody your dream, and they start to throw these negative words at you, she says in the book to surround yourself by like-minded people, by
Absolutely.
positive people. So you have to move yourself away from that negative environment. So the person or people that you talk to about your dream or your whatever ideas, move yourself away from those people and just, speak it aloud to yourself and say, this is what I want to do, and go toward people
think
that
that's
think
good.
similar to the way you think.
I think it's good. You have to realize that your dream and your thoughts are your dream and your thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes if you share that baby potential of a dream, an idea that you have too soon, you can get overwhelmed
Yeah.
with unbelief and doubt, and eventually you will terminate the pregnancy of your idea.
Yeah.
You will terminate it. And so that's why I think it's important. Just like when before you actually give birth to the baby, you actually carry the baby within you. And then after a certain term, and then after a certain time and term of gestation, and you go through the birth pains, then that let you know the baby is ready to be born, and that is the birth of a dream or idea. And so we have to look at that process.
Yeah.
I want to talk now about some of the things we got on the table here, because she talked about the power of words and the power of writing, the power of tattoos, the power of prayer. Okay, and I think one of the important things that she says that not all prayers, not all words, not all prayers are equal.
Yeah.
Some prayers have more divine creative force within them. Now, one of the things that we have learned here is that we have learned some divine world prayers. We've learned the Anabacoa, the 42-letter name of God. We, or at least some of us, I practice the Unisa Vajaya, which is a very powerful prayer that carries the divine force energy. What has been your personal experience, either by listening to the Anabacoa or by actually memorizing it? Have either of you ever had a personal experience of the power of that prayer? And for those of you who don't know, the Anabacoa encodes the 42-letter name of God. And by name, we don't mean like Tom, Joe, Jack, or anything like that. We're talking about the divine energy, the creative force of those letters that carry the energy of the divine, of God in them. The frequency of the signature of God, the angelic power. It's written in Aramaic. And so, as we said earlier, certain languages are able to carry the divine force, with the divine creative force within them. Sanskrit, Hebrew, Aramaic, Latin, some of the elder dialects, the very structure of those languages is able to carry divine energy. And a prayer that came to me through Dr. Mitchell Gibson, the Anabacoa, the miracle prayer. If you pick that picture there in the middle, Florence, that right there, pointed up to the camera. Okay, yeah, that's the 42-letter name of God. That's the Anabacoa. You read it from right to left, 7 lines, and those lines carry 7 energy signatures that deal with helping you relieve stress, clairvoyance, other activities. You can go to tybro.com and you can read all about it. But that's it right there. What has been your experience, either one of you, with that prayer in your life? If you have an experience.
Well, can I talk about another person, because I've been listening to the prayer for years and I've learned the majority of it. But there's a very special person in my life, was going through just sad emotions up and down. So I just played it for her, and she fell asleep. And she woke up and she said, "What was that? What was that you playing? Wasn't me? I don't understand any of it." But in the book, and this person also said, "But it doesn't matter whether I understood it or knew what it meant. I'm feeling better. I want to listen to it again and again." And so now this person, I've gotten permission to give this person a copy of it, and this person listens to it daily, and they say they can feel a change, they can tell a difference in their lives by listening to this daily.
Okay.
So,
Shelley,
it's become so, the miracle prayer and the Unisa Vajaya, the prayer of greater miracles, have become like the sound of the air conditioner going in the house. It's constant. It's become a constant, and we had the opportunity for the children here to learn the prayer, and today we were actually having a conversation because my oldest son has been having some congestion and stuff going on. And I told him that if he makes himself better, that I'll take him to eat anywhere he wants to go if he can make himself better.
Okay.
And so he was like, yes, okay.
Yeah.
And so he then asked my daughter what he needed to do, because she is the resident like healer. She knows knows, Jamie knows the miracle prayer, she knows the health invocations and all of those. And when she gets sick, that's what she does. She'll go in her room and say the miracle prayer for herself. And like she told him, she rarely gets sick. But if she does, that's what she told. Well, she didn't say rarely. She said, I don't never get sick.
Yeah.
But when she does get sick, she'll go to bed early. She'll turn over on her pillow and put her hands together and say the miracle prayer. And when she wakes up the next morning, she feels better.
Yeah.
Right.
And, you know, for me, that is an amazing thing. It's kind of one of those situations where we all the time say, I wish I knew this, you know, back then. But it's a conversation I know Flo and I have had, the fact that our children have the opportunity to know and use these prayers and these tools is, I mean, it's great.
I know what you mean.
I have seen 6-year-old knows.
I have seen and witnessed the miracle prayer not only affect me personally. Now I like the miracle prayer. I pray it constantly. I sleep with it. I have seen it do miraculous things. I have seen that energy release in the lives of people, even to the point of I've seen cancers reversed. I've seen stage 4 cancer be reduced to stage 3, stage 2 until it's gone. And that was because of the person exposure to the miracle prayer. And even the miracle prayer in the atmosphere of the room charges the room with that creative power, that energy. And so I recommend it. I recommend the prayer of greater miracles. Again, you can go to tybro.com and you can order both of those prayers, and you can begin just listen to them. And like Florence said, it doesn't really matter whether or not you understand the language. You know, it doesn't matter whether or not you can say understand what the Unisa Vijaya, which is written in Sanskrit, which is spoken in Sanskrit. It doesn't matter. It is the energy that comes off of the sound and the letters of those prayers. They are divine world prayer. Another divine world prayer, when spoken in Aramaic, is the Lord's Prayer.
Yes.
And truly, if you can memorize these prayers and practice them, you'll know what I mean. We have 2 other things on here. We have that she talked about, and that is these symbols and sigils and everything that, like that one over there. These symbols. Now this is called the Black Cross. This is something that is used to heal, and what you do, it is a staring pattern. We have that one there. These are staring patterns. You put them up in your house. You can put them up on your walls. We have them in the church. Put them in the church, and yeah, we get I've gotten a little flack from people about these and everything, but people don't really understand exactly why I put these up, because I am inviting the power of the angels. There's a scripture in the Bible in Job chapter 38 verse 7, and it talked about something that Pythagoras understood, is that the galaxy is filled with music. You know, in other words, the Psalm 38 verse 7 says that when God created the world, the angels sung with joy. The angels made a sound. So therefore, every planet in the galaxy has a sound. Earth has a sound. The sun has a sound. This is the angelic choir. This is the sound. Your body puts a sound. Your soul has a sound called it's sonin, and depending on where you are spiritually determines the state of your sound. I've had a chance to listen to earth sound, and like Dr. Gibson says, the earth sounds like a bad neighborhood. It really has a terrible sound. But that's because of the sound frequencies of the people's consciousness on the planet. The sun has a sound to it. Venus has a sound. Neptune has a sound. All the planets have a sound. I've listened to the sound of Saturn, and it has a kind of a foreboding sound, like a scary sound to it. It's interesting about Saturn. But anyway, now the reason why you stare at this, let me say this, the reason why you stare at this is because there's your higher mind, like when it says in the beginning, when we say in the beginning was the word, but we're not talking about English. We're not talking about a patterned language. We actually are talking about something that's a little bit pre-verbal than that. There's a part of your consciousness when you look at this. There's a part of your consciousness when you look at this that actually interprets this. It's your higher mind. So this is actually speaking to your higher mind. And in the process of this, in your higher mind, it emanates down into the conscious mind and brings its benefit. That's why you just sit there and just look at it. You just look at it. You can learn this also in Kabbalah. You can just look at the figures. You don't have to understand what they mean. That's a beautiful thing to know, that you can communicate with divine creative force by just looking at it without even understanding. That's actually in the Bible too, by the way. I ain't gonna tell you all that, but that's actually in the Bible. The other thing that she tried to bring out that's so profound is writing, the power of writing. And I know that y'all are working on that in terms of with the kids here at the church, how to speak and then how to write. Well, one of the ways, there was a time she mentioned, I thought it was so profound, that writing was carefully guarded by the ancients. Did y'all ever see that part of that? Writing was carefully guarded because the intelligentsia knew the power, the sacred power of writing. And they would write things like on parchment, on papyrus. Now this is actually deer skin. And Dr. Gibson actually told me one time, he said, this is the angels prefer things been written on deer skin. So when there are certain like talismans you will make, as a matter of fact, there's going to be a workshop on writing talismans. He's going to give this year. And you write it on deer skin. And some of the angels like that for a minute. And tattoos. I know you tattoo lady. Both y'all tattoo ladies and everything. When you write something on your body, because your body is a conductor of electromagnetic energy. Now what's on your body? What kind of tattoo you got on there? What type of symbol do you have on your body? Now your husband Freddie has some adinkra signs. That's good. I know some people who actually put the honorable core on them.
Yeah.
They encode it into their very vibration of their being. That's pretty interesting. What do y'all think about tattoos? I know y'all may have some religious problem with tattooing and stuff like that. But what y'all personally think?
Yeah.
That's not me. That's the other.
Yeah. Tattoos are bad.
Well, I say before I got any of my but the first one I got it just because it was something that I just thought was
because I could
and because I liked it and I paid for it.
Tattoo.
But I waited many years because my mom was upset. So the next several of my tattoos, I thought long and hard before I got them. I researched them. And I wanted to make sure I understood what they were before I got them.
Because you could tattoo a curse on you.
Exactly. And I didn't want something on me, for the rest of my life, and it ended up being something evil. So, I made sure I researched them and I understood, and it was something that I thought long and hard before I got it. So.
What about you, Shana? What you do with your tattoos?
I don't have any tattoos, but what I was what I was gonna say.
Stop the tape. She's already lying. It ain't holding no more now.
About what the point that Kelly brought up that I liked was you know, actually, you know, making the process a little more spiritual.
Yeah.
How you do that?
You know,
I like that.
you know, blessing the instrumentation, the place.
So that
you're
means that you need to consider
with.
who you go to put a tattoo
Well,
on you?
I do, you know,
you do?
I do consider, yeah.
We only
have one person that, you know, kind of, yeah. So, you know, that I think is fine. It's a good relationship. It's a good environment when we go there, you know, and get the things done. But I will say, if I had a tattoo that I would tell this story, you know, now that she said that my largest tattoo that I had, well, never mind. Anyway, my largest tattoo that I have, when I was getting it done, at first it was fine, you know, it was good. I was like, oh, okay, ouch, a little bit, you know. But then as it started to get more painful, I'm kind of over dramatic sometimes. You know, my brother is with me, and you know we have, you know, we enjoying each other's company, talking and stuff, and I'm like, you know, stop, I don't want it no more, it's killing me, you know, it hurts. And now that I think back, that is the only tattoo, and a certain part of it, that part of it is the only time that I ever, as it was healing, had pain. You know, as it heals, as your tattoo heals, then it, you know, scabs over. And for all you kids that want tattoos, there's a painful process after the needle, and it becomes tight and all of that. And you know, teaching aerobics here at the church, I got to the point where I was like, I can't do it, y'all. I was like, I can't do it, you know. And I think about that, and I think about how I felt when I was getting that specific part of the tattoo done, you know. And
I'm gonna get me a tattoo.
Good.
Well,
I'm gonna get me one. I'm gonna put it on my face though.
Oh no, now.
What's wrong with that?
Well, nothing is wrong with it, but
I'm gonna get it.
You're Reverend Bullard.
So what's that supposed to mean? Well, that's one of the boxes you want to put me in.
One of mine that I got, I honestly had to go into a meditative state because it was really painful. And I just started praying. I did.
Well, and see, that's what my brother was telling me when he was getting his. Well, when I was getting that one, and because it was the only one that ever hurt. He told me, he was like, you know, you can't think about it.
Yeah.
You know, he was like, you can't focus on the pain. You have to take your mind somewhere else.
Yeah.
Now, he probably wasn't talking about meditating and stuff that, you know, but. But still.
But the bottom line is that you need to bless your instruments. You can make these sacred. You can make your pen or your pencil, that you do your talisman or you do your tattoo, prayer, ink that's been prayed over. These are all blessed sacraments.
Right.
That I have.
And before we close out, I wanted to say, I think it was something that we were talking about here one time before, when she was talking about, you know, blessing the tools that you use.
Yes.
We heard a story or something about a woman who wanted to write a novel, and she couldn't, you know, was having writer's block and all this kind of stuff, and she prayed. She got a ream of paper. Prayed over the paper and prayed over her computer and just went crazy.
Right.
And wrote the book.
Two other things that Kelly mentioned in her book on these chapters here was about mantra. Now, I truly am one who truly believes in the power of mantra. And some people may say, well, how you been a Christian minister in mantra? Well, you know, they are Christian mantras. But all of them are good to me, the ones that I have used. I don't know if any of you have these beads here, mala beads, but one of the first mantras that I used that really cracked open my access to higher parts of my mind was the one that said Om Ahum Vajra Guru Pimi Siddhi Hum. And one night I said it 1,000 times. First time I ever did a mantra 1,000 times. These are mala beads that have like 108 beads. And I said that Om Ahum Vajra Guru Pimi Siddhi Hum. And I said it 108 times, 9 times or more, 10 times or more. around these beads, and I promise you, something changed in my consciousness. She mentioned about, I think I pronounced it, bija mantras. Now these are seed mantras, and I'm not going to go into it right now, but I know that these are mantras that you can say that can, they have mantras that can bring wealth and healing and other aspects to it. They're little simple words, those one syllable mantras, like Harim, clean, Shreem, and the more you say them, you bring the energy of that divine power into you. Something you do. Now we talked about powerful words, but we didn't say nothing about words of power, and because that's a special type of conversation. Now I have been trained in words of power and certain levels of words of power, and there are many words of power. As a matter of fact, we all have words of power written in our soul. At least you have, as much as you can have, the 617. For every facet you have on your soul, which is 617, you have a word of power. Words of power manifest things like your breathing, your digestion, other parts of your body, and then there are words of power that do miraculous things. Words of power that allow you to enter into higher planes of existence. Words of power that help you to communicate with higher beings. Words of power that heal. Words of power that dissolve negative entities around you. But they are words of power. Now you say, well, how can I know words of power? Well, they have to be given to you by a master. You just can't just start doing them because you don't have the authority to do them. And obviously, for me, my teacher was Dr. Mitchell Gibson. And for those of you who want to know about words of power, you would probably need the word of power medallion. That's what I have here. Because you have to be empowered to use them. And this carries empowerment. And plus, you get the words that you can use. These words of power have the ability to alter reality. And that is no joke. And they have to be used with consciousness, with care. Those chapters on the power of thought and the power of words is a really powerful 2 chapters to read. Are really powerful. Yeah. That can really alter your reality. So I encourage you. I forgot what particular chapters they were. You remember?
8 and 9.
Chapters 8 and 9. Go back and read that. Go back and read that more than one time. It is loaded with food for thought. And until next week, we'll see you, and we want you to continue with us in our study as we begin to talk about manifestation. I believe it's manifestation, and how to manifest in chapters 10 and following. And so until then, have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you next Monday.